Hello everyone, my name is Wing Choi and my set ID is z5387760. I'm a decision analyst. Today, I'd like to share a case study related to my friend who was recently diagnosed with heart disease. Thus, she is facing a hard decision whether she accepts the bypass surgery or not. Given this situation, I used structured tools, including the inference diagram and decision tree, to help her gain clarity on the uncertainties and identify potential consequences. Therefore, she could make decisions to align with her primary objective, which is maximizing the quality of life. I'll cover the case in three parts. Part A, the original scenario. Part B, the updated scenario with complications. And Part C, an attribute scale for the quality of life. Let's begin with the original scenario. The patient has been diagnosed with heart disease. The physician recommends the bypass surgery. And the records for this operation shows that a few individuals died during surgery, but most of the patients recovered fully and went on to live longer and healthier lives. However, without having surgery, the patient's condition will continue to worsen, leading to a shorter lifespan and progressive deterioration. Thus, I structured the problem using an inference diagram. Firstly, the square node represents the decision. Should the patient have the surgery or not? Then, the oval node represents the uncertainty outcome of surgery, being success or death. Finally, the diamond is the consequence node that represents the quality of life. This node is influenced by both the decision and the uncertain result of that surgery. By looking at the decision tree, it begins with a decision node, which splits into two paths, one for choosing surgery, another one for choosing not to have surgery. If the patient chooses to have surgery, there is uncertainty about the outcome. Thus, this circle represents the chance node. This node includes two possible events, either fully recovery, resulting in longer and healthier life, or death during surgery, leading to immediate death. On the other hand, if the patient chooses not to have surgery, the result is certain. Thus, there is no circle node. The outcome is modeled as a terminal branch where her health will continue to worsen gradually. Because the chance of surgical success is high, and it provides the patient with a longer and better life. Thus, choosing surgery would match the fundamental objective of maximizing the quality of life. However, the patient received a second medical opinion, and the physician suggests that the surgical may lead to complications. These complications can result in a long and painful recovery. The outcome for the complications can be either full recovery, partial disability, or even death within a few months after treatment. This new information changes the structure of inference diagram and decision tree. The inference diagram is nearly the same. They both start from the decision of whether to have surgery. The only difference is that we are now recognizing two layers of uncertainty. The first chance node represents the surgery results. Did the surgery succeed or fail? Then the second chance node represents whether complications arise. Both are oval nodes that represent uncertainty. Therefore, the consequence node of the quality of life is now affected by three factors, including the decision of having surgery, the result of the surgery, and the possibility of having complications after surgery. Then, I revised the decision tree by adding the possibility of complications after choosing surgery. The information within the red dashed square is the difference from the earlier decision model. Now, if the patient chooses to have surgery, then she encounters the first layer of uncertainty. There are three possible outcomes. First, she might fully recover. Second, she might suffer complications from the surgery. Third, she might die during surgery. The outcome of full recovery and death are the same as the earlier model. However, if complications arise, she encounters second layer of uncertainty. Thus, there is a second chance note. This note includes three additional outcomes. First, she might fully recover after long and painful treatment. However, she could have a long and healthy life. Second, she might have partial recovery with permanent disability. Finally, she might die within a few months, even though she has undergone the surgery. If the patient declines surgery, the outcome is certain. Her health will gradually worsen. Compared to Part A, this decision tree represents a more complex structure. Although the surgery is still over the potential outcome for long and healthy life, the second physician gave negative potential consequences that the surgery might lead to complications. The significant suffering from the complications and the potential outcomes make the surgery less attractive. Thus, the surgery looks considerably less positive compared to Part A. In order to make a rational decision, we must quantify to each terminal outcome from surgery, scaling from the best possible outcome of 100 to the worst possible outcome of 0. At the top end, a score of 100 represents full recovery without having complications. The heart of patient could restore to normal functional status. A score of 75 represents the minor complications. The patient has manageable symptoms, but they require medication treatment and frequent doctor reviews. At score 25, major complications can be seen. The patient suffers permanent disability. The pain is constant and severe. Moreover, it requires long-term treatment and multiple medications. Score 5 is death during surgery. It is a horrible outcome, but it avoids complication suffering. And finally, score 0 is the worst outcome. The patient suffers painful treatment and dies within a few months. This is the end of my sharing. Thank you for listening.